Howdy, everyone. We welcome you to another live digital Kava session here on the Polynesian Eyes podcast. As always, in every Kava session, whether it's in person or digital, you must come with an open mind and you must be willing to sacrifice bad ideas and promote
Let's
good
go.
ideas, right? And this is the arena of ideas. We want the ideas to compete and we want to enjoy the conversation that happens with the competing of ideas and also getting to learn new things as well. This is Tua Fale coming all the way from Southern Nevada in Las Vegas, the city of lights. Mr. Atearoa, how are you in the land of the long white cloud?
Thank you, Tua, for the introduction. I'm doing well. Can't complain. It's getting a little bit warmer here on this side of the world, but I am doing good and I can't complain. So all things is well on my side, Tua. Alo.
Malo, Masi, appreciate your time. Couple housekeeping items. Some interesting milestones. We've surpassed the 1,500 subscribers on
Yes, sir.
YouTube. So really appreciate all the support there. Like we
Yep.
said, every like, every subscriber, every paying member, every super chat that goes a long way in getting us higher in the algorithm to get
hmm
more exposure. But really do want to thank all the viewers and the listeners. Really appreciate that. Have to give a shout out to our Facebook viewers. Facebook, it's I don't know what's going on, but it seems to be like
A
we
trend.
started off, yes, it's like we're
Ah,
taking turns
hmm
on the social media platforms. First it was TikTok, right? We were
A launching
a lot
pad.
of our
TikTok was the
growth.
launching pad. Yep.
Yes. Then all of a sudden our YouTube viewers and listeners had a huge surge for a while, and we're still surging there. But shockingly, Facebook has really turned the corner. I think on our Facebook page, 1 month, 28 days, we had 500,000 views on
Wow.
Facebook. That was a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, this month. And that's just on one of the pages, right? We're tracking 200,000 views for this month. So it's been kind of crazy. I mean, Facebook, we do get some comments here and there from Facebook, but a lot of activity, a lot of views, a lot of exposure we're getting is on Facebook. So we want to give a shout out to those viewing and joining us from Facebook as well and appreciate all the interactions there. So just some items there, Mr. Atearoa.
Awesome. Yeah.
Anything from your end before we kind of dive into the topic?
No, I just want to add that the reason why I think we're we're getting very trendy. We're just talking about topics that a lot of our vast Polynesian brothers and sisters like to watch, share, and also participate in, and that's a good thing because it's all about learning more about our Polynesian history, and also we are live on every live digital Kava session on YouTube, Facebook, and
Mhm.
X, Patreon, and it's because we're live in all those platforms so that we can get everybody involved wherever they may be and whatever their preference are. So appreciate all of the support from all of our supporters of the Polynesian Eyes podcast. And like what you said, Tua, I think people like that idea. Don't let the fist fights and everything happen physically and threatening nature. It's all about bring your idea and let your idea compete. And that's what the live digital cover session on the Polynesian Eyes podcast brings to the table is allow everyone bring their ideas and let the ideas battle it out. Yeah.
100%. If you want to do there are certain spaces and places to do the physical stuff. You wanna show the physical stuff. There's the UFC, there's professional boxing. There's a lot of places, and we would cheer you on. We would cheer you on in those arenas. But like you
Yes,
said,
sir.
Mr. Atero, this is where the ideas come to compete.
hmm
Um, we're gonna spend our time today. We're gonna, with the Pacific Nations Cup launching this past week. and a lot of the focus is there on the International Rugby League. We're going to have the conversations, kind of build off of that to a larger kind of cultural, how we live our culture in our everyday lives based off of that journey through the rugby league world, especially on the international stage, and talk about how Polynesians have had an influence in the international rugby league. Um, how was the energy in Aotearoa, Masi, with the Toa Samoa and Kiwis playing this past weekend?
I didn't. I did see, when I'm just driving around, the energy is there. There's a lot of Toa Samoa flags. The supporters of the Toa Samoa Samoan flags going out from their cars and everything. So that's
Awesome.
there. I didn't see too much of the parading. It was just more cars going with their flags. But because I do have a lot of Samoan friends on my social media feeds, there were plans for parade to happen in Mangere, and I think they did that on Saturday, leading up to the game on Sunday. So I think the energy was good, and I think a disappointment that Tosamoa lost, but I think overall Tosamoa supporters are pretty happy that the team really played their best and played very very well. It was a very
High,
entertaining,
high level
high
rugby league.
level, high level game, and I think and that brings the question if Tosamoa lost the game or did the Kiwis beat them? But I think Samoa lost its bunch of opportunities to win that game. But
Yeah,
it's all about execution for that day. Maybe if you play 10 times, it'll probably be different because Samoa would only get better with new additions and also losing their superstar and was it that Crichton kid that
Steve
wasn't
Crichton.
playing. But man, it was a very entertaining game.
Yeah, that was my view as well. I joined maybe halfway through the first half
Mm,
is when I jumped on. Very exciting game, right? There was no clear dominant leader in there, and I felt, from my humble opinion, it felt like Samoa was the better team.
mm,
However, New Zealand was able to capitalize when their opportunities came.
yep,
They were able to finish it, right? I mean,
yep,
there were multiple opportunities. I think uh, Samoa could have scored on that right hand corner. And then there were a couple handling errors from people who are usually pretty reliable, like Brian To'o. He's usually a
yeah,
very reliable person. And there were some opportunities where
yeah, yeah,
handling errors led to the New Zealand team not being able to be put away. And so, but overall, it was a great game.
yeah, yeah. Good point, Brian Toe. I mean, he's in the top of the All Star, so he's definitely lost that one. I mean, he's
Yeah.
definitely had the pressure. No excuses there that he shouldn't have caught that ball.
I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, we all, we do have Samoan heritage. We
Yes,
grew up
sir.
in Tonga, so we are leaning towards the Matema Tonga for obvious reasons.
Yeah,
Watching the Toa Samoa was like, oh yeah, well, these guys have a good team. They came out right out of the gates, high tempo, high energy. I was like, oh, the the Matema Tonga, we need to come out ready. We need to come out ready. We cannot be slow out of the gate because now that the Toa Samoa have one game under their belt, they kind of
yeah,
have a
yeah,
an
yeah.
advantage, in my opinion.
Yes. Well, now because they're used to have game time experience is a lot different than practicing when you're not having real
No
intent, somebody
opposition.
really hitting.
Yeah.
Yes. So game time experience is really valuable. That's what Samoa has. And I think Tonga can bring a little bit, if they come off the gate, being a lot more well rested because they haven't played their first game and just come with everything, what we know they can come with and playing to their full potential. And I think it's just executing your plays, and executing is just basic stuff. When you break the line and maybe do offload and then catching that ball. Like those are the executions that whoever can execute the best is gonna be the winner. And yeah, we'll see. And a lot of these games, these are valuable reps because Rugby League World Cup is next year, and
Yeah.
that's going to be huge for everyone to get used to each other, and understanding your plays and calls, and getting used to your guy to your left and right. So and their tendencies. So this is a pretty important game. But
Yeah.
me with the MMT, our boy Christian Wolf is still there. My man said he was gonna step down. You
Hey,
know,
I told you. I think Masi he just felt the pressure from you, so he's like, oh yeah, wait, he sidestep, he
Eh,
juke,
eh,
he fake out.
my
Hey,
man. Hey, I'm just saying. Hey, like I said, we're on the MMT high, but try to keep your eyes open. Just see what's going on a little bit. Hey, grateful for what Christian Wolf did, and recruiting is part of it, like I said. But it's almost like Tuala Epa. When you're in power for a little bit long, you
get a
tend
little
to
too
feel like you can
comfortable.
run. You're too comfortable, and you think you can. Anything says goes or turns to gold.
Yeah.
When you're that. But I'm just saying, my man said he was gonna step down to at least help that coach to come in, the new coach for MMT come in this game, so he can get his feet under him. But he probably had a change of heart. But we'll see. If things don't
Hey,
go well, it just says, hey man, we can't be the little dogs and just be grateful for the piece of crumb that we have. If you want to be the best, you've got to make changes, and you've got to also get changes that will elevate everybody, not just the coaches, but everybody that plays for the coach and plays for the country, MMT. Because if you think you're the small dog, then whatever happens happens. But I feel like MMT is
we're
a
big
big
fish
dog
now,
now.
man. We big
We've
fish
already
now.
been we've already been Australia before. We've been New Zealand multiple times.
We've beat
I don't
every
know.
tier one
Yeah.
nation.
So
England.
England, we're not in that level. It's almost like graduating from high school and getting to university level. It's a little bit different, and you have more responsibility to figure out what you're gonna do your next move after you graduate university. But
Okay,
we'll see.
okay,
That's just
okay.
that's just me. That's me personally too. I'm keeping my
Mm.
eye on just how things flow, and Christian Wolf. That's my thing.
Hey,
I think the
I
players are gonna
wanna
play well.
I wanna introduce a new term, Masi.
Yeah.
I've been watching I Show Speed and some of these other streamers. So they refer to everyone in the chat. They just call it chat, right? So
Yeah.
everyone who's commenting, whether you're on YouTube, TikTok, or I mean YouTube or
Facebook.
Facebook or even on X, right? We're just gonna call everybody chat, right? So that's gonna be the name. We're gonna adopt modern day streamers.
Mhm.
But what I was gonna say is chat, meaning everybody listening in. We all know that Mr. Atero is going to be very critical of our brother Christian Wolf.
Mm.
And so, if you know Christian Wolf, chat, tell him that Mr. Atero will be having a good eye on him and making sure we're evaluating his performance.
Yes, yes. Well, even if you think about it, to a lot of what Jason Taumalo and those guys coming, there's only a very few left. A lot of this new generation,
Hmm.
MMT they're the majority now. I think it's
Yeah,
only Jason Taumalolo, and I think Haviri. There's only a handful, but I'm just saying, you get to a certain step, you got to do a thing, and I'm just saying, Christian Wolf's already had 2 World Cups. We came short. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. But I'm
yeah.
just saying that's my
I
that's
think,
my focus going in the game is just seeing how the players respond to the Christian Wolf, and just see how they go. And and to me, the I know Christian Wolf has won the games against those countries, but to me, Pacific Championship is it's a stepping stone. But to me, to win all the marbles is the Rugby League World Cup.
yeah,
That's the top competition in all of rugby league. Like that's when you're gonna be remembered for forever. So if we don't win the big one, the other sub tier competitions, it's good. It's good to watch
good
and see
practice. That's
players.
good
Good
warm
practice.
ups for the World
Yes,
Cup.
but the
All of
Rugby World
these,
Cup is
yeah.
is what
a
matters
pinnacle.
to me, and that's what I
Yes.
use to judge against Christian Wolf. That's just
Sweet.
me.
Let's come back and highlight some of the people here in the chat. As always, we really
Oh, Mika.
appreciate our paying viewers on YouTube. And
Yes.
Mika is one of our paying. He has that little symbol next to his name. That's a way to
Yep.
highlight our paying members. So appreciate it. Mika says, "Malo ngotama offers go MMT."
Yes, sir.
Marie,
Go
malo,
MMT.
malo.
Opa to Mika. Malo.
Malo, have a couple more. Navtoka says, Kautama, Malo e Taulava, MMT Kiai. Good to see Samoa and Tonga repping the Pacific. 100%. 100%. You know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he gave this feedback
And I
as
definitely
well,
saw
Mr.
that.
Atearoa.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Navtoka. Samoa had that game. They lost it, not beaten. Yeah. That's what I kind of felt when I gave my thoughts on the game. But definitely feeling the support from Tosa more, especially leading up to the game. I saw a lot of their
Mm.
supporters with their flags riding around. Only a very few of the Tongan flags, but granted, the MMT hasn't played their first game, and I think that's happening in Australia, and I think they're having a. I think it's sold out. Do you have any idea if that game
I
sold out?
haven't heard if it's sold out, but it's at Suncorp. It's one of the prime stadiums in Australia, and
Yeah.
I'm hoping it's sold out. I'm hoping the Red Sea arrives, but it sounds like our Samoan brothers and sisters, they're going to be showing up too. So it should be a packed game. Should be a
Let's
packed
go.
game. Going
Let's
along with
go.
what you said, Navutoka, one of the things I did notice, the halves for Samoa were really good. Really good, right? Is it what are their names? Is it Mariner and Luai? Can't remember, but
Luai
both,
and
yeah, they were both
Luai's a top.
on top
Luai's top.
notch.
He's what do you call the biggest game in rugby league
The
other than the
origin,
World Cup? Origin. He's an origin player for New South Wales. That Luai kid. So he's big
yeah.
deal.
So to me, we all know our forwards from both Haamoa and Tonga are going to be strong, right? We have good forwards. The difference, and when we lost to Haamoa in the World Cup, the difference was the halves. You know,
Mm.
however, now we have Isaiah Katoa is a top-notch half now.
And
You
he's
know,
clutch. He's proving in
yeah,
game experiences he can hit the drop kick during games. So that's good. That's valuable
good
experience.
experience. Yeah.
And I have
So
faith in
I'm
him. Yep.
interested to see. I mean, we know our forwards are going to be strong. The center fielders on both sides are pretty strong. The wings are pretty strong on both sides. Like it's going to come back down to the halves again, I think. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, Samoa showed that their halves are performing at a high
Yep.
level. Couple
Yep.
more comments. Facebook, Mereka Malo Alpito. She says Malo Elele.
Malo, Mereka,
And also from Ali Akoteo says
Ali.
Ofatu Tua. Malo
Hey,
Ofatu.
Ofat.
Appreciate the support there. So I want to come back now that we're in the full steam. There's this high energy in
Mm.
the rugby league world. Never would have thought, what, 10 years ago, that you
Yeah.
would have Tonga, Haamoa, and New Zealand be in the highest, apart from the World Cup, but regional competition. This
And
is pretty much the
excitement.
highest level and the
Yes,
excitement
and the
about it,
excitement. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
right? And really want to come back to, well, how did we get here, right? How did we
Mm.
get to Tonga, Samoa, and New Zealand in a tournament where everybody's super pumped and it's considered, apart from the World Cup, probably the most exciting international
Yep.
series,
Yeah.
right? And coming down here to our information, it all comes back to Andrew Fifita and Jason Taumalolo. And
Yeah.
what do you remember, Masi? So we're looking at a what, 2017, right?
Yes.
Getting
Yes.
ready, and everyone knows Jason Taumalolo is a lock for New Zealand, right? And also Andrew Fifita is a lock. They're both in their primes, especially Jason. Jason is at the
Highest paid.
absolute
Yeah.
highest. Andrew is still top level. kind of at the latter end, but still in his prime.
Yeah.
Kind of. What do you remember, Masi, of that whole situation and how that all evolved?
Yeah, because I was still living in the U.S. and I wasn't too sure, until I looked into the details. I've heard of Taumalolo, but I didn't know he was like the top of the top. But it was more of, okay, it caught my eye that it was a big deal for the, Australia and New Zealand media that he defected from the Kiwis squad and it was gonna go to Tonga, and then it made me learn about Taumalolo a little bit more and understanding that he was the one of the highest paid rugby league players of the time. Not only that, he was up and coming. What caught my eye was he even tried or had some calls to try to go for the NFL scouts. That's how talented Daumalolo was.
Mm-hmm.
And me understanding that he made this change, and to me, when you get a top player like that, like what you said, in his prime, it gives you the hope that we have a chance to win the whole thing, right? When you get a top player like that, and then and then I think the thing was after when I heard of him, and then his influence was so strong that he brought the what Shiwa Tauge Aho, Andrew
Mm-hmm.
Fifita, the Fushtua kid,
David
uh,
Fustua.
Iyo, David Fushtua. So when all of them followed, then I'm like, then it kind of like, okay, this is a big deal because this has never happened, and all it does is, everyone is always strong and loyal to the MMT, but now it's just reaffirmed and built the foundation that this is gonna be a lifetime thing. So and this is something that's gonna last when Andrew Fita is pretty much done. Malolo is probably in his last leg of the World Cup next year, so it's gonna last after them. So and that's probably the most satisfying thing of seeing what they did is this is gonna last much longer because now we're getting the top of the crops of Tongan descendants choosing MMT, and not only that, like we have like so much Tongans that even some good players that are not on the MMT. We have
Yes.
so many. We have
Teams
so
that we
many
would have
choices.
died for, guys we would have died for before, didn't even
Correct.
make the cut, which is crazy.
Yes. So big deal. And yeah, that the only thing that we're missing is the best send off we can give Taumalolo is to win the World Cup next year. To me, that's
That's to
that's
be
gonna
the
last a
ultimate thank
very,
you.
very long
The
time.
ultimate thank you.
That would be what I want for Taumalolo, especially what he's done, because he was the main piece. Because what he did, and then others follow. Send him off MMT, and I hope the coaching staff, the players, we can. We don't need more motivation for something else or for any like this is the motivation that we can give Tamalolo a send off by winning the World Cup. Hopefully that feels feel the energy of the team to maybe give our best. But that's just me. That'll be the greatest send off for next year. But what's your thoughts, Tua, and any
Y-
additions or maybe
Yeah, I
different
mean this
perspectives?
this this totally changed when you talk about shifting the landscape. I don't know. I can't think of anything in my lifetime in any sport that's such a seismic shift in such a short amount of time. I can't
Hmm.
think of any other sport where like these two players' decisions had such a huge impact, right?
Yeah.
And we're now looking at not just Tonga, we're looking at Samoa, we're looking at Fiji, we're looking at the Cook Islands, right? The Cook
Oh,
Islands
really? The
team
Cook
much
Islands. Oh,
stronger.
making. Okay.
Yeah, I mean
Okay.
it's monumental, and I thought it's really important for us just to remember where this all started, and I want to play a quick video here from a podcast that really
Nice.
dives into how big of a deal this is, because I think we kind of forgotten a little bit, right?
Mm,
We're like, oh, we're just so excited about the stadiums, the high quality
yeah,
games, and the athletes and the entertainment. But it's also just it's good to remember where this all came from. So just want to play this video and then have a reaction to it, Mr.
okay.
Aotearoa.
By Andrew Fafita and Jason Taumalolo. Guys, without overstating it, the legacy and the impact of that decision, it's changed the entire fabric of the game. They are two of the most influential figures in the last 20 years on the international scene. They both won comps for their clubs. This is far more significant. Look at these squads that we're about to unfold in the Pac Champs. They created a movement and a belief through their own courage of their conviction to jump ship and go with where their heart and passion lies. I think, honestly, it's one of the biggest decisions in 20 years of rugby league. The decision by Andrew.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. I don't know of any sport. Not just rugby league. They have shifted everything, and I don't know of any sport that this has ever happened. Like, can you think of anything, Mr. Aotearoa, of like such a shift and really changing a sport? Maybe Jonah Lomu saving rugby union in '95. Maybe like
Creating a whole competition just because of one player, that's a big deal. If you think about it, Jonah Lomu with that 1995 World Cup performance really created a Super Rugby competition.
Yeah,
like it's because of him, nobody else. So that's a big deal. Probably that's the only closest thing to the rugby league, but to a specific nations and like particular, like we're talking about Polynesian nations that are actually field and actually are, it's almost like revived the international game, because rugby league internationally before the Taumalolo was really not that entertaining, because maybe the only
it was
game I really
Australia, New
watched,
Zealand, and sometimes England. That was it.
yeah,
But everybody
the
knew
only game
80% of the time
yeah,
Kangaroos are going to win.
yeah. Now when you give and legitimize your shot to win something, because now we have players like Taumalolo, Fifita, and making that huge change, it gives you hope, and it just refueled the competition and actually made the game grow. And what a lot of people like in who are non-Polynesian that are from Australia and New Zealand, what the Polynesian people bring is their whole. We got families all over, not just in New Zealand and Australia, but America, and it's growing the game even in America through the Polynesian people, because they're the ones bringing us excitement. And not only that, we've got Polynesians who are doing really well in the NFL. Even some Polynesian making going to what basketball. We even had The Rock shout out to
Mm-hmm.
Toa Samoa, which is the highest paid actor and probably the most influential Polynesian in the entertainment industry, shouting Toa Samoa out in the Rugby League World Cup, growing the game, getting people to at least understand rugby league. So to me, is a lot of the the bosses that run rugby league understand that. I think it's the Polynesian communities throughout the world because of where we're at. Not many non-Polynesians, a lot of non-Polynesian families just stay within their own. If they got any families in New Zealand, very few kind of leave and they just stay and understand New Zealand or Australia or real Polynesian families, because of our relationships and belief in extended families, because of the way our culture is, really helps the like rugby league grow the game, in my opinion. But that's just me. I don't know if you had anything else or any other thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that's an important part of the experience. I think there's two components to this. Number one, you have to have a spark, right? And Jason and Andrew Fifita provided that spark that spread to other players, right? That led to other players joining
Mm-hmm.
in. And then, and I'm trying to see if I can find a good video here, but even that is not enough. Like if that's all that happened, like the players came in,
Yeah.
that wouldn't have been enough. You know
Mm.
what you need on top of that? You
What's that?
need excitement from the fans and you need financial success, right? And have you ever seen that video of explaining that the most important person sometimes is not the leader, not the first person who goes
Mm.
out? Have you ever seen that explanation?
No,
Let me see if I
no.
can find it. It's this guy. He's kind of like a coach or like a psychologist. Um, um, second or first follower. It's everyone thinks that the lead. I'm not. It's not to undermine the leader,
Yeah.
right? It's important to have a leader. You need a leader in order to have a spark.
Mm-hmm.
But the leader is not enough. You could have a leader
Mm.
do something and then it'll
Mm.
die off right after.
Mm.
And maybe this video we'll share this video
Okay.
and we'll watch this. And it talks about, and this is, I think this video encapsulates what I'm trying to express here a little bit better. And let's just watch that for a second. It's a 2-minute
Okay.
video.
If you've learned a lot about leadership and making a movement, then let's watch a movement happen start to finish in under 3 minutes and dissect some lessons. First, of course, a leader needs the guts to stand alone and look ridiculous. But what he's doing is so simple, it's almost instructional. This is key. You must be easy to follow. Now here comes the first follower with a crucial role. He publicly shows everyone else how to follow. Notice how the leader embraces him as an equal. So it's not about the leader anymore, it's about them, plural. Notice how he's calling to his friends to join in. So it takes guts to be a first follower. You stand out and you brave ridicule yourself. Being a first follower is an underappreciated form of leadership. The first follower transforms a lone nut into a leader. If the leader is the flint, the first follower is the spark that really makes the fire. Now here's the second follower. This is a turning point. It's proof the first has done well. Now it's not a lone nut and it's not 2 nuts. 3 is a crowd and a crowd is news.
Not the 2 nuts.
Not the 1 nut, it's the 2 nut. Eh?
Oh Yahweh. Oh Yahweh. Okay.
A movement must be public. Make sure outsiders see more than just the leader. Everyone needs to see the followers, because new followers emulate followers, not the leader. Now here come 2 more people, then 3 more immediately. Now we've got momentum. This is the tipping point, and now we have a movement. As more people jump in, it's no longer risky. If they were on the fence before, there's no reason not to join in now. They won't stand out, they won't be ridiculed, and they will be part of the in crowd if they hurry. And over the next minute, you'll see the rest who prefer to stay part of the crowd, because eventually they'd be ridiculed for not joining. And ladies and gentlemen, that is how a movement is made. So let's recap what we've learned.
Yep.
What are your thoughts? Like, well, let me do this. So this in many ways explains what happened with the Mate Tonga movement, right? You had Taumalolo / Fifita, but especially Taumalolo says, I'm gonna go and do this. And he could have been ridiculed, and he was. Some people ridiculed him.
Yeah.
He said, oh, you're a traitor, you're gonna ruin your career. Like, what are you gonna do when you can get hurt? Right? Like this, like it's not gonna have an impact, it's not gonna matter. But then what happened? Because Andrew Fifita went, then all of a sudden, all the other Mate Tonga players, one by one, came in. And that started something special. But remember, that's only in the game and the players. Mm-hmm. That can only go so far. Really, to me, and that's still important. I'm not trying to undermine what the players did, but really what turned this around is something else. But before I go there, any thoughts on this, Mr. Atearoa, on the video and the experience?
it's you just need the one that has to me it's the one that has the courage to do it first. And then the ones like what he said, the ones on the fence, they just said they're gonna just go ahead and just join because they were on the fence, and now they've made a decision that somebody started it. They all jump on. So kind of like what you said, Taumalolo made the choice, had the courage, and I think he was he just knew who he was as a Tongan. He felt more, and I think a lot of Tongans throughout the world, and maybe even Polynesians, Samoans, also people can be born in different countries, but it's the Samoan or Tongan Polynesian blood that runs through your veins. You don't feel you don't feel maybe American or a New Zealander or a Australian. You're Tongan, and you're gonna
Mhm.
do things to represent your Tongan perspectives or your Tongan heritage. And let's just say it how it is. A lot of times, people are not comfortable acting their heritage. They have to maybe act a certain way, a non-Polynesian way to get
Mhm.
success, right? I think we've all kind of interacted with maybe our fellow countrymen from the Polynesian islands, wherever they may be, that they have that perspective that you probably have to act non-Polynesian to get successful. But Jason Tamalolo, he knew who he was. He can still be successful being a Tongan playing for the Mate Tonga, and it's a good example because this carries over to different aspects in every. And I think that's the thing that caught very fire. A lot of Polynesians that haven't been to the islands, but they see themselves as a Tongan, Samoan, or some Cook Island or wherever. But they were always maybe kind of on the fence, but didn't know how to pursue or go that way. But Tamalolo just set that on fire and just said everyone just go all in. And yeah, so far it's successful because rugby league is in a better state now than prior to what 2017.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So now that we have all these players, you started with Jason Taumalo, you have Andrew Fifita, you get the rest of the players to come through. If it ended at that, I don't think this would have lasted very long, in my opinion.
Mm.
The X factor, the X factor is we're gonna do a secret reveal here. The X factor was this.
Yes, sir. That's
This,
that.
this,
That's the game experience right there.
yes, this is what established it, solidified it, and said, this is something that can sustain itself. And we'll play this, and then we'll have your initial reactions and thoughts, Masi.
All right.
Let's go back a little bit here.
Johnny Mike's right. Mo. Parahipa. Dala Mike, bete tau i fe. Bete tau i fe. Bete tau.
Look at that whole stadium.
Dala Mike, fe.
Yes, sir.
A fe du be. A fe du be. A fe du be. Dala Mike.
Right?
Yeah.
That. What are your thoughts on that, Masi? And how important of a role do you think that played in this whole thing?
Well, it opens a new dimension and a category of what Tongan fans are. We already know how All Blacks fans are. We all know how English fans, especially with the soccer. This is a new category of now we get to see how Tongan fans are and how we celebrate, and just seeing the stadium painted red. I mean, it just gives a different perspective of just a new category of how Tongans celebrate game time experience. In America, everyone knows the culture of the tailgating, right? Tailgating before football games and then going. Tongans are a little bit different. We can sing church hymns during the thing and wave our Tongan flags, and we go a different level of supporting our team, having a full-on parade before the every game or something, So that's a that's a different level of just a category of how we act. It just opens a new platform of a new fan experience that non-Tongans can see what Tongans can do. Because I've seen that for the village level. in Nuku'alofa level when we play different schools. So I've seen it, but it's good to see it on a bigger scale that now the world can see it. So that's just my thoughts there too. Unless
No,
you have anything.
100%. Like what this did was solidify the movement because it did a couple things. It highlighted it and it made it a big story. Like it was already a big story, but it even went to another level. And then it made it so that financially it made sense to maintain. Because now all the people who are business savvy, they're like, wait a minute. You mean
we
if
can make money?
Yes. You can make money. We can have Tonga play against Ha'amoa and sell out a stadium.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
We can have them, have a following, and then that leads to more opportunity. But look at where it started, right? Started with one choice, started with one team making multiple choices, and then look, Masi, Tonga is like one of the smallest.
Foi
of the island.
Pidiote. We're the smallest, right? We
Sometimes
probably
can't
have
even find us on the map.
yes, and not only that, right? And I think we've probably touched it on previous episodes. We're the last one to migrate. We don't have the freedom of migrating as much as our Polynesian neighbors. So that's what I'm saying. It's just a big deal. Like to me, regarding people's cultural identity, it just shows you how strong our culture was able. Our culture is penetrating in different Western countries that people are still identifying being Tongan. And not only that, and another thing too is what probably many, let's just say the people who make the financial decisions of putting up games and competitions, non-Polynesians are willing to watch it on TV because they want to see a good game, right?
And
Even
go
if
to
they're
the
not
game.
Tongan
And go to
and
the
go
game.
to the game. They're not Tongan, they're not even Polynesian. Maybe
It's the
they're like a
experience.
Uri or a Palangi or a Asian. They're willing. They just want to watch a good product on the field, and that's what they want to see. And and like what you said, the ones who see it on TV, because that's why it's a big deal to have good attendance, because when you have it on TV, you inspire ones to say, "Man, I wish I went to the game instead of watching it on TV," because you can only have a feel, but you can't really feel the game time experience when you're there, and that gives people who just want to participate and join watching the game. But I'm just saying that's kind of my thoughts there, Tua.
Yeah. To build on what you're saying, let's hear it from someone who was there, who's not necessarily a Tongan fan, right?
Yeah.
And let's see what he says, what that game day experience is like.
On my calendar, October 26th. It's a Sunday afternoon game at Suncorp Stadium, 4 p.m. Tonga v Samoa.
Matt, how good is that going to be? It should be a sellout. Like
it will be a sellout.
The rise of international football, Tonga and Samoa. Look, this is exciting. I think now that the game has been locked in, just here come the announcements about who will be representing both of these nations.
I think the carrot for that game, it's going to be too strong for the Samoan and Tongan players to go to turn their back on Australia and represent Samoa or Tonga, because that will be incredible, mate.
And any rugby league fan, and I guess the message to any player thinking about whether or not to choose Australia or Samoa, I'm not on the campaign trail here, but I've played in a lot of big games at some magnificent stadiums, like Wembley Stadium, like 85, 90,000 people, Old Trafford, full to the brim. But it's not about the stadium, it's about what those Tongan fans bring. Played the semi-final of the World Cup in 2017 over, I think, in New Zealand. Doesn't matter where it was, the Tongan fans made it. It was the most spine-tingling crowd.
He's having goosebumps just talking about it, right? He's looking at his hands like he's getting goosebumps just remembering that.
Being a part of. We were up by 3. We got off to a quick start. They did not stop singing. They did not stop encouraging their team. They had an almighty comeback, and then it was a controversial decision to some extent, although the right one. I think there was a loose carry from Fafita.
They didn't go upstairs, though, did they?
Of course,
no, they didn't.
Of course, he's going to say that he's the English guy, right?
Yeah, that's the only one, man. That's the wrong.
No, they didn't. They didn't check it anyway. But I'm thinking like, oh God, this atmosphere. They're going to be really pissed off and angry. Almost ran over to my family to like think, oh shit, because it's going to be on here. They're going to obviously spot that they're not Tongan, because everybody that was Tongan was in red and white. Man, they were so happy. I mean, the atmosphere. I've played, like I say, in some magnificent stadiums with great atmosphere. That is number one, bar none. Played at Anfield.
Not even
that
close.
Was the number one atmosphere I've ever played at. And I think if you're Samoan or Tongan and you're thinking about what is around the corner with the Ashes, which will be great, that heritage match, that Samoa v Tonga up at Suncorp will be sold out. You will never experience a moment like that in your life if you walk out and represent Samoa or Tonga in that fixture. That is going to be something that money cannot buy.
Yeah. The first game.
Crazy. This is a guy who's been the top stadiums around the world, championship game for the World Cup. And what does he say? What is his number one experience? And it's not even close when they played against Tonga.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on that?
I agree with what he said. The game time experience, because like I said, the Tongan fans is no one really knows how we celebrate and how we view the games during the game going on. So it just opens a different dimension, and it's coming from somebody who's non-Polynesian and their experience playing in Europe and in UK and stuff. So and in Australia, it's just there's another set of fans that people can judge how Tongan fans act during the game, and it's an awesome thing.
No, absolutely. And you know, this is and then we're gonna get into it, I think, in the latter half of today's show. We need to realize that this doesn't happen by accident.
Yeah.
Right? When you look at how small we are as Polynesians in the world, right? When you look at the countries with billions of people, a world with 8 billion people, and you're looking at these little dots in the ocean, and you look at the impact we have on the world, they said, this doesn't just happen by accident, right? Like there's something very important there, and it's something that we need to say, how did we get here? How did we have this impact? How were we able to do this? We've kind of looked at the mechanics of what happened, but I think there's a deeper story behind that we'll get to it later.
Okay.
And we'll dig into it a little bit more. But let's look at now that that's happened and the movement continues, let's look at this. You know, the teams are in Australia right now. And let's see how our brothers and sisters in Samoa have showed up, right?
Yeah.
In a city where the second language is Samoan. Crowd in Kingston, more than 3,000 strong in a sensational show of Pacific pride. Fans of the emerging international football powerhouse were rife with energy and excitement for a rock star welcome.
So did you skip school for this? Yeah. I didn't go to school once.
Samoans aren't quiet about who they love. They love Toa Samoa.
That love, loud, proud, and absolutely undeniable. sea of blue cheered the names of treasured regulars and chanted those of the big-name recruits.
This reception will hopefully give Samoa the extra edge when they come up against rivals Tonga at Suncorp Stadium on Sunday.
This is real special, honestly. I think it just means a lot, and it just kind of gives you that more feel you need for the week.
Players ready for war. They won't be going in alone. Anna McGraw, 7 News.
Crazy.
Very nice.
Look at how that excitement, we're excited for it. This is all comes back to individual decisions, right? That led to multiple team member decisions, which resulted in the backing of such a small nation. And now it's spreading to the other Polynesian brothers and sisters. And now it's impacting a global game, right? Where players on the Northern Hemisphere are like, this is the number one game experience everyone should be looking for. It's phenomenal. I mean, it's great to see, you know?
Yeah. It just makes me like to really grow the game. Maybe even cutting every 4 years Rugby World Cup. Maybe even it may cut it down to 2 years. I don't know. We just need to do it. We need to up our game as whoever's running this. Was it the International Rugby League, whatever federation? It just shows you that, dude, everyone is making, not that this is cool to see everyone joining in the fan experience, but this is making a lot of money. I bet you the viewership for this game, Tonga and Samoa, is gonna be really doing well compared to other international matches. So I don't know. That's just me thinking out loud. Maybe instead of doing every 4 years World Cup, maybe 2 or even one, do one like a Super Bowl every year. Who's the best? Like, I don't know. That's just me.
Somebody's got to be thinking about how to capitalize on this, because this is rare. This is unique. There needs to be an effort to try and capitalize this, because as we saw with the Toa Samoa and the Kiwis, the product is phenomenal, right?
Awesome.
The support is there. This momentum, it needs to be fed. It needs to be nurtured. And you know what? Super Rugby, all the other international game, they need to be studying this and looking at how they can duplicate this, because this is something that is a gold mine, right?
Yeah.
This is the closest I've seen, maybe bar soccer, because the international soccer has some hardcore fans. But outside of American sports, quality of the product, the
fan
game
engagement,
time,
the fan spirit,
fan engagement and spirit. This is the closest thing that New Zealand and Australia have ever hosted. Oh, State of Origin's pretty good. Outside of State of Origin, this is like the next thing. I mean, I don't know that there's gotta be. I hope they're trying to take advantage of this.
Yeah. Agree.
So
that's my suggestion. My suggestion is make the World Cup happen maybe a yearly, maybe biannually or something.
Yeah.
Something. I'm just saying 4 years is a little bit too long for the top competition in international sports to wait that long. I don't know. That's just me. But I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and it's not just that, Masi, because remember a lot of our discussion is your primary product is based off the players and the experience. Yeah. Every 4 years, remember, when a player gets to like mid 30s, they're kind of at the tail end. So they're only going to get maybe 2 World Cups. So really, you're not maximizing your investment and your product. Every 4 years, when you have phenomenal players like Payne Haas, Jason Taumalolo, Andrew Fifita, Isaiah, every 3-4 years, it's like you're not getting as many opportunities to showcase the product that you have, and it's a missed opportunity. I think you're bringing up a good point, Masi, on that.
Yeah, because to me, even when people get injured or injuries happen when they have their domestic competition like the NRL, some of them can't even participate in the World Cup because of injury, and then they have to wait another 4 years. I don't know. That's just me kind of thinking out loud. With maybe we can cut that in half to kind of like, because like we said, the wave is strong right now.
Yes.
Use that momentum and create another bigger wave. That's just me
Yeah.
thinking outside of the growing this game, because it will get bigger and bigger, and people will look forward to the international matches.
No, 100%. 100%. So the tail end of the show, we had some other videos and stuff we'll look at, but looking at the timing, I really want to tie this back to now that we're seeing this flow through the other Polynesian brothers and sisters that we have, right? Even PNG is getting more players coming back to play for them.
Ooh.
So
And
in
Fiji's
some
been up and
sense,
up their game. Fiji's
yes,
been doing well recently too.
Fiji's
So
doing well. Like I said, the Cook Islands looking stronger and stronger. I look back at, and we'll use Tonga as the case in point, right? Being the smallest of the islands, in many ways the least developed, right? Because that's one of the disadvantages of being independent, right? You don't get access to your colonizers' resources and opportunities to go overseas. We're very much coming late to the game, yet we have this huge impact. And I think this is a microcosm or case point of how the Polynesian nation was established and the unique role that Tonga provided, how it was able to provide unity, why it was able to spread influence and maintain relationships. What are your kind of thoughts on that? Because I think, like I said earlier, this doesn't happen by chance, right?
I got a quick question. Quick
Go
question,
ahead.
Tua. So you're saying, let's just say, if Tonga had the same end story like every other Polynesian island, would Jason Tamalolo and them still have the choice to play for Tonga? Would it still ended that way? Why did, or what's your thoughts?
No, that's what I'm
That's
saying.
what I'm just thinking. And
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, like all the history we've shared of the Tangaloa always being the head of the Polynesian nation. Then it transfers to the Tuitonga being the head, right? The Tuitonga loses its kind of authority by just over time. It's colonization is happening, and a lot of the Polynesian nation is kind of doing their own thing. And then we're able, maybe the ones when it got really small before the last colonization, when it happened to Fiji and Samoa, and when that happened, it was just to what Tonga is now, and we're able to maintain our sovereignty. That's the question I have. If Tonga ends up being the United Kingdom of Tonga under the British Crown, would Jason Taumalolo or even Andrew Fifita or even the other guys follow if they made a change? Would this be a big deal? Would that even be a thought? I don't know. I'm just thinking.
No, that's
What's your thoughts?
where
What's your thoughts, Tua?
that's where the questions, I think these are legitimate questions to ask. Why was the smallest nation, quote unquote, in many ways, why was the nation with the least amount of quote unquote financial power? Because it's much more than, like we're talking about Jason Taumalolo. What drove that choice? Because you have bigger nations,
Yeah,
right, with more exposure, more population. But why did the smallest one come out with this? And I think there is a unique identity and a unique capability that Tonga has, and we've used the analogy of a tree and the root. There's one thing that
branches.
separates the root from the rest of the branches and the trees and the body.
Mm,
A root can grow new stem,
yeah,
new branches, new leaves. A branch cannot become a root and grow. That's not the typical way it works. the root has the capacity to become everything. It's like the stem cell of the body, right? The stem cell has the capacity to be an ear, to be an eye, to be everything. But once an eye becomes an eye, it's an eye. It can't like produce other things. And so I think the history, and when we say history, the thousands of years of history, the genetic, the choices of thousands of years of loyalty, of dedication, of sacrifice to the Polynesian nation to maintain unity, right?
Yeah.
Led to descendants who make that choice. Like, I think there's a fair way to say that if Tonga did not have the history that it had, that if it didn't have the capacity as a singular independent nation throughout all time, and that unity that comes from out of it, I don't think that you would have players in their prime make these decisions. And then remember, that's not enough. Like we looked at, you have to have not just one person, you need multiple players to make that decision. And then to go beyond that, you need a nation to be behind that, to give it a big enough spark for attention, to give it enough financial impact to catch the attention and to leverage it by others outside to start the movement. I don't think not only Jason Taumalolo wouldn't have made that choice. I don't think the other players would have made that choice. And I don't think the people would have been unified enough to make that a global enough thing to recognize to result in what we have now if Tonga wasn't the center of the Polynesian nation. I don't know if that answers the question specifically, Mussy, but that's my response to it. Any issues or concerns with that thought or anything to add?
No. It's a big deal, and give credit to our ancestors, like what you mentioned, that sacrifice to make Tonga it is today, to make the roots survive of the Polynesian empire of the Tui Tonga survive, so that we get people who feel a lot close ties to Tonga to make a big significant financial decision, because the logic choice is to play for the bigger countries wherever you affiliate with, but to go with your heritage. We're talking about Taumalolo, who wasn't even, we're talking about not even Taumalolo, but even all the followers of Taumalolo Fifita. None of them were not born in Tonga. They always say they were born there. It just shows you that their connection to Tonga, and that's connection is only strong because of his family and all their families of the players, Tauke Aho, Fushtua, Fifita, of them, because all of their connections to Tonga made them just feel as Tongan as people who came from Tonga. So
100%. And
yeah,
there's a couple of things I want to mention off of that, Mussy, on some ideas we've discussed here, right? I think we're going to get into how and why that unity, right? That cohesiveness that allowed this movement to happen. What has to happen on an individual level, and what makes the Polynesian eyes, how it sees the world versus the Western perspective and how it sees the world, and how we need to navigate that as Polynesians in the modern world with a vast, rich culture and history to understand, to navigate the modern world without losing what makes us Polynesian, right? That's the secret to what I believe our people bring to the table. And that is where Polynesian eyes comes from, is how do we see the world differently, and how do we see the world and navigate it or mold it to our benefit in order to us accomplish our goals, but not lose who we are and what makes us unique, right? And before we get to that, there's a video we're going to share to kind of highlight that, and we'll have that conversation to close out.
All
But
right.
this is why I think even Tongans can learn from this.
Mm,
The Tongan government should also be paying attention to this
mm.
and learning from this. And what do I mean by that? Stop worrying. I mean, I'm not saying stop. Yes, pursue the Western grant, pursue bringing in Western uh, tourists and Western
Yes.
investment. Let's go back and see what we can learn from what Jason Taumalolo and what you mentioned, Masi, the connection that some of these players feel
Yeah.
back to Tonga, even though they weren't born there and never been to Tonga,
Correct. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And yet
Yeah.
they're willing to put their career. Remember, if they get injured
Yeah.
in this, it's high risk for them. It could
Yeah.
be a career season ending, career
Yeah.
ending
ACL, torn ACL,
injury.
ACL. Yeah.
And as an athlete, you have to maximize your earning potential in your prime,
At
right?
a
So
small
you have to do
time
that
period.
in a
Yeah.
small time period. So this is high risk. But look at the impact, and I would love to see our Tongan government step back and look at this and say, you know what? Instead of spending millions of dollars in whatever our budget is, instead of spending 90% of our budget trying to get foreigners to come, why don't we
Hmm.
spend that to reach out to the Tongan communities overseas to come back to Tonga? Why don't we reach out and spend that money to drive Tongan people to invest in Tonga? And don't underestimate. Remember, Princess Pilo Level was talking about already right now, 60% or 50% of the tourism to Tonga are Tongans,
Yeah. Just Tongans. Yeah.
right? And that's with almost zero focus on bringing Tongans back to Tonga. Imagine
Yes.
if there was a higher focus, right? And that not only brings higher investment, but it brings more remittances, probably, right? Because now there's connections to the families. It brings more interest on how to improve the quality of life. It may even attract talent to come back and work in the Tongan government.
Mm.
Don't underestimate, just like we looked at the Mate Maatonga and Jason Taumalolo and how that decision has ballooned into this international impact. Don't underestimate the Tongan financial opportunity that can come from Tongans overseas. I really think that is a severely underutilized resource, and you could have significant impact if they were to look at that.
So I'm hearing from you, Dua, you're advertising for the ministry, the minister of tourism. It's-
Oh,
no,
Yahweh.
exactly. No, exactly, Dua. These are some of the new ideas that can definitely be applied to try to, because I think we've talked about it before. There's too much emphasis on chasing the financial aid from all these other countries for infrastructure when they can just do the smallest thing to improve the services and access to Tongans within Tonga and Tongans in the diaspora
Mhm.
internationally. If they just focus on that, the remittances will probably improve. Two, that will be a long-term remittance financial income coming to the country in the long run, because you always think about it, right? That's always the challenge with remittances, in my opinion. When my when you're done with this life, is your children have the same love and passion for Tonga? We don't know, right? If they're not connected, it can be difficult, right? And then you can say so, for your grandchildren and so forth. But that's just coming and thinking for the government side in Tonga, that these are so much opportunities that they also, not only the game of rugby league, need to catch on this wave, but even independent, like the government of Samoa, Tonga, and even Fiji, they can all do things probably to improve their connection to Polynesian communities outside of the islands. I don't know. That's just me. That's just me, Tua.
No, 100%. I can't find the video, but you had mentioned earlier that out of the original Mate Tonga team that joined, only 4 of them, when they went back to Tonga this time, are still on the team. So
Yeah.
so notice all these guys, many of them never been there, but Adam Fonua Blake, you know what he did this time? He
What's up?
brought his family. He brought his wife
Mm.
and he brought his kids. And I couldn't find the video, but I want to
Oh,
listen
that's
to this
awesome.
because he might mention it. But it's a video of Adam Fonua Blake driving in Tonga with his wife or partner, whatever you want to call it, videoing
Mm.
him and talking about bringing their family to Tonga. But let's do that before we go to the next video here, to the one that I was mentioning earlier we were going to watch. But let's see this interview that Adam Fonua provides.
All right.
The captain for the Mate Tonga team. How does it feel to be back?
Nah, it's really special. Loving every minute being back. Yeah, it's good to get here and get back. Let the boys see the fans here, and let them see us and how we are going to train the next couple of days.
How important, you just mentioned letting the people of Tonga see you guys. How important is that for, not just for the people, but for you guys, the players, getting ready to go to the Pacific Cup?
Yeah, no, it was really important. Obviously, we knew that it's a new group. We hadn't, a lot of these boys hadn't come and experienced what it's like over here in Tonga. And we thought, obviously, it'd be a good chance for them to get back here and show them what we're playing for, the people that we're playing for, and also just a good chance for the fans here to see the team. We haven't seen them since 2019, and we tried to get a game here, but we couldn't get it over the line. So the next best thing was to come and do a few days here training.
And a few days here is training. What does it look like? Is it community? Is it training? Is it?
I think it'll be a bit of both. Obviously, we train hard, but obviously when we get a bit of downtime, I'm pretty sure that the team have put some programs in place where we can have a chance to meet a few of the community and obviously let them get to know us a bit more as well.
You're here in Fomotu, about to receive the rest of the boys.
Yeah.
How does it feel to reunite with the boys and start the campaign here in Tonga?
Yeah, no, it's special always coming into these camps. I love coming into the camps. It's like you haven't left, when you see the boys, everyone's always got big smiles on their face. So, I can't wait to see the boys when they get here, and I know it's going to be a very enjoyable camp.
Everyone listening and watching, is there anything to say to the people of Tonga?
Hey everyone, thank you for your support. Love you all. Can't wait to see you.
He didn't mention it, but he did bring his family over. So his kids are now experiencing Tonga and having a connection back through experience.
I think I want to mention, I did come across a video of Aiden Fonua Blake, I think with his wife and kids. They were at his maybe family home or relatives home in Tonga, and he was asking the family how they thought of the umu they had. Those are the experiences that really connect his family to probably the extended family that's living in Tonga, and that's the connection you allow when you're done on this life, that your offsprings and your spouse will probably have a long connection with Tonga, and to me that's a good thing, because one, you help people solve, like, to me, your spiritual identity is important, and also your cultural identity is important too, because that's what helps you to navigate when it gives you another tool, like I told you with the hat example. It gives you another tool to kind of, you have the spiritual side of things, and it gives you another tool with your cultural perspective on how to navigate life, and also answers to questions on how to go about with important life decisions. So to me, that's how I see it, as another tool to help you navigate life in a positive way. But that's just me.
Not 100%. Want to recognize, as always, our paying membership paying viewers. Mika says yes, definitely, because me and my family are going next year to Tonga Tapu. Family of 15.
Mika.
That's a lot. I mean, just look at that. That one trip alone. Imagine the investment that will bring back to Tonga, and then the memories, the relationships. That's the kind of stuff that will have many years of impact on the Tongan economy, right? That we're talking about. Like you do that with how many families overseas, that multiplies and it'll give people maybe more ideas to come back to the island, to invest, to build businesses, to work, right? Give their talents back to the island in that way, right? Maybe even with retirement. You don't have to come in that time, but let's say you retire. You're not just coming back with your financial dollars, but you're coming with knowledge and skill that you can pass on to the Tongan economy later on. I mean, there's just so many positives that I think that's just a huge missed opportunity in that arena.
Yeah, awesome.
All right.
And to my knowledge, I think Mika's from Vaini, so it'll be awesome. Take his family there.
Vaini Dubs. Vaini Dubs.
Let's go.
Okay, so I'm gonna preface this next video. The reason why we're gonna watch this video, because I think it's a perfect example of trying to understand the Polynesian view of the world and the reasoning behind some of our culture and the way we think traditionally, right? That's one hat. That's one way of seeing the world through those set of eyes. The second one is understanding the Western civilization that we're actively living on and how to navigate it and to use it appropriately and to be successful in that world while not forgetting or leaving behind or throwing away our Polynesian roots. Right. And a prime example is how Tonga was able to navigate colonization.
Okay.
Right. A lot of people accuse Tonga of, oh, you guys just got rid of your history, you sold out. Hard to say that when the Constitution was written in Tongan. Hard to say that when the nobles and the kingly system is still in place. Hard to say that when the Taumawha Kava is still in place. Hard to say that when you actually understand what was going on, right? And then to say, look at how our ancestors were able to navigate colonization, to understand, to be successful in this new Western civilization and world, was to have a constitution, was to have an organized government, was to have treaties with other countries, but also remember, we're still Tongans. We have a proud history, and to make sure we maintain the most critical parts of our culture. Does that make sense, Masi? Any thoughts on that? Anything to add to that before I pull up the video?
No. Let's go ahead and check out what this video has to say.
Yes. So this gentleman, I think his last name is Kinikini. He's very successful from all I can see. Successful like realtor, developer / investor out of Utah. He's Polynesian. I'm pretty sure he's Tongan just because of the name. But he's going to say something that I think is important to discuss and understand and to look at it at both perspectives and how to navigate it correctly.
Yeah.
So,
and I do have one thing. Shout out to the Culturally Rooted podcast.
Oh, yes.
Know those guys. So awesome content they do.
Absolutely. 100%. I'm glad you brought that up, Mr. Aotearoa. Oh, clicking on the wrong video. Let's go.
Culture over common sense. Sometimes we choose culture over common sense. There's a funeral. How many of y'all seen these broke people that should not be giving money away, can't even pay their own rent,
Giving it away.
show up with 10 racks in a sila? That's the culture. And when you don't do it, you're frowned upon.
Look at him.
I have a specific budget that is designed for giving. I just have it fixed in my income. And I just know that every month I'm going to give this amount of money away. Where it's hurt me is early on, I was giving way too much too early, right? Couldn't even support myself. How can you help someone if you can't even help yourself? Because the person that you are neglecting the most is you and your own family. I've realized that the best way to help the most amount of people, specifically my family, is I have to help myself first. And sometimes you have to sacrifice the short term for the long-term gain.
Initial thoughts, Mr. Aotearoa.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I I what other people do, yeah, I know we probably all know that. I just don't. To me, it's just I just let people decide how they want to give. But of course, when I'm more closely aligned with what he's saying, you give what you can, right? You give what you can, and you just hope that, especially, and it's important to, especially when you're married, and let's just say if you're married to, and probably a lot of our Polynesian people have married non-Polynesians, right? So I think it's very important that you have a certain plan and give what you can, because you know it's good to have the family agree on, because it's not just you doing the decision, but it's important when you have the spouse into it and agree and help you, because that also gives the understanding on how to prepare for miscellaneous um, burdens that's going to happen regarding a wedding, or fundraiser, or birthday, or even a celebration of something big, right? So like a graduation or something. But to me, it's you give what you can, and like what he said, to me, when you have family that give more, and see, and this is the thing, right? And this is what matters, is where you are within the family, right? Are you from the oldest brother or whatever uncle? And then I can understand, like, I'm thinking like, what if somebody, we all did did a collection, and somebody's giving way more than they can, and then they come and, let's just say, ask you for money to do something, and then you gotta say, hey, why did you get, you can have those conversations within your own family, but to me, that's important conversations to have. But and sometimes it makes a difference where you are within the family dynamics. But to me, let's just say, if you're in a family dynamic that they come and ask you for money, and then you don't say, you just say, oh, I don't, you can have that discussion, how how you're going to have that discussion with somebody's asking you money, knowing that they shouldn't probably have given whatever that cause was to give, because now you're asking money from other people and stuff. You can have that discussion how you go about it. But if you're a certain dynamic that you can have that discussion, it's important to have that discussion. You shouldn't be giving, if you're asking money from family members for basic needs. What I'm trying to say. So I don't know. That's just me on how I would go about that. Tua, maybe you can share your thoughts. What your thoughts are on that?
Yeah. Before I jump into my thoughts here, from Water Bears himself, Vaini
our
Poto is his
PR.
other
Oh, wow.
comment, but our official PR rep says, "My mom, send Maiki ni manoa ke lava e tau sila." The famous words,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
What's your thoughts? Tua?
yeah, I understand and I agree with the perspective that he's sharing,
Yeah.
right? Especially when you come from a Western perspective.
Yeah.
That makes total sense, right? But the question, it's I agree, but I don't think it's as clear cut as that, because there's a lot of wisdom in it doesn't always have to be money, right? If you show
True.
up, but you don't have the money, but you show up and you give your time, right?
Yes.
That
Yes.
can
It's
that can
important.
be of great value of itself. And in sometimes having someone show up kefayeng awe is sometimes many times more valuable than the money,
True.
right?
True.
So there's some wisdom on both sides, and I think he articulates it very well. The benefits of what he's talking about. I agree. But just like I tell my teams that I work with, there's never a solution. There's only trade-offs, right? There's only trade-offs. And what do I mean by that? If you take the approach that he has, stay within that budget that you have, right? there's pros and there's cons to that, right?
Mm.
Because what happens when there's a situation that, well, maybe going outside of the budget
Yes.
is needed,
Yes.
right? It's
You're
like,
right.
but financially it doesn't make sense, right? Like Jason Taumalolo. Jason Taumalolo and all those guys that joined the team and even the team today, does it make financial sense for them
Good
to
point.
take the risk that they're taking?
Good point. Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Because financially, it doesn't make sense for them
It
to
doesn't make
play for
any
Tonga.
sense,
Yeah.
right? And some of them, like let's say, like let's take into account, what is it, Leka Halasima, that really young superstar that's coming up,
Ooh.
and there's a
Yeah.
couple of them that are in that. They haven't made the Jason Taumalolo money.
Correct.
Leka Halasima gets hurt really bad. He's in a bad spot financially, mentally, emotionally, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And
And then
he's probably having so much family members relying on his income, right?
100%.
Extended family too. You can add to that.
So there's pros and cons in the other ones, but what I'm trying to highlight here is, just like all the fans that went to the Matema Tonga game, some of them probably spent their money on the flags, spent their money on the tickets to the game, spent the
Correct.
money celebrating, and then eat ramen for like the rest of the month. Right? Like, there is, how am I going to say this? Here's another example. I'm just trying to use examples to say the other side of the coin that
Yeah.
is that needs to be taken into account. Once again, there's how many Tongans around the world? How many Tongans in New Zealand? How many Tongans in the United States? Such a small group, even within the church. Why is it the Tongans are the ones that have stake?
Mm.
Right?
Mm.
And what's the drive, and multiple wards? So you have to have multiple wards to have a stake.
Correct.
And what do you have to have in order to have a ward? The church's measuring stick of having a ward is having enough
Tithing.
priesthood full tithe payers. And do you know what the logic is, Masi? If you have a choice between paying your tithing or paying your rent, what is the theological answer to that question?
Pay the tithing.
Pay the tithing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Even though financially it doesn't make sense.
Mm.
Right? But what are that's what I'm saying. I'm not, and I like this Kini guy. I think he's making a great point. When you're dealing and this is where I believe our people need to make a separation here, right? Remember we talked about the two hats. When you're dealing as a business,
Correct.
you operate under what he just said. As a business, that's the only way your business is going to survive, because the business is run and built off of Western principles and concepts.
Yeah.
That's the business needs to operate like that. But when you come to the personal side, operating as a business has limitations.
How about spiritual side too, right?
Well, that's
you
what I'm
can
saying.
also even
On the personal side is the spiritual side.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's, like I said, there's limits. And this is where it's important to navigate those hats at the right place, in the right situation, right? And making sure. Because I'll tell you right now, you know what maintained the Polynesian nation over thousands of years, over how many miles? It was because it was a family situation. And you know what you do in the family situation? you sacrifice beyond what's financially makes sense for the relationship, for the long-term stability, and for the better of the overall group. Because it's a family situation. This is, and it comes back, and I'll kind of use one of the examples I think you use, Masi, that I agree with a lot. This is why socialism doesn't work outside of the family dynamic.
Yeah.
Right? When it's business,
Yeah.
socialism doesn't work in business. Capitalism works in business.
Yeah.
Family situation, it makes a little more sense. Right? There's a little bit more leeway and a little bit more things that make sense to do it. And I bring this up because it's the type of sacrifice that doesn't make sense that leads to the unity over thousands of years, that leads to individuals making sacrifices and nations unifying behind someone, that leads to the Matema Tonga, to what it is now, and to influencing other parts of the game and making it a global movement. Right? And it's that global movement that inspires the business side to say, hey, look, there is financial opportunity because of the sacrifice and the unity and the dedication of that group that grows it even further. So, anyways, that's my long way to try and tie in what's going on in the rugby league, how it came to be, and how as Polynesians, we need to look at those things and understand that these things don't happen by chance. It's because of our ancestors. It was because of the long history. And then to understand the type of sacrifice that is required to spark those kind of sacrifices. And I'll mention this last thing, Masi, before I hand it over to you. That's the type of sacrifice that an entrepreneur makes that an established business doesn't make.
Yeah.
An entrepreneur will invest beyond what's reasonable to make a business grow. But once a business grows and it gets established, you don't take those risks anymore. You follow the process. Anyways, that's kind of my thoughts there. Any kind of
awesome.
anything
Awesome.
back on that? Closing
awesome
thoughts, then,
perspective.
Mr. Atero.
No, I just want to touch on a little things here that you kind of mentioned, like what you said. It's not always a financial thing because, like you said, your time, even making yourself available for joining the family. Because when you do stuff as a extended family, you being there makes a difference. Two, you being able to, because when you're there, you're able to assist with whatever happenings of the family that can give you your time, and people appreciate that, So to me, that's important. And like what you said, because I'm just thinking, Taumalolo, if you just think about it, he probably didn't think this would spread to how it is now. He was just making a whakakainga decision, a family decision, right?
That doesn't make sense.
That doesn't make sense, right? Like what you said, but and it's just like what the Kinikini guy was mentioning, and he has a certain plan. That's good once you've made a decision and you need a certain process just for like certain situations. But there's going to be some time in your life, like what you said, there's things going to be required outside of your budget, and that's going to probably require to eating noodles you with your family. And to me, it's not, if you are willing to sacrifice, those are the things that you are prepared to do for. But as long as your heart is happy with the sacrifice that you've done, to me, that's what it matters. Because I don't see Taumalolo being sad, being in the MMT in 2025. Financial loss, yes, but he is let's just say he is in a good state of peace with his decision, right? And that's what it matters. I think everyone is trying to seek peace in this world, and it's not always even if you make logical decisions. And you're definitely right, Tua, with the whole situations like that many Polynesian families go through, and very good example. very good example. And I just went in, I was just thinking of Tamalolo. He just made a family decision, play for Tonga, and then that's applicable to how we should apply to any aspect of family relationships with celebrating or what to plan for a wedding or a first birthday or a funeral. But but yeah, and at the same time, Kinkini has a good point of just trying to, like when you said, I'm just thinking when you have a store, we all know the Chinese are doing really well with the little stores because
Yeah.
they live on a budget and they live minimal. They don't have any
Kainga
uh,
problem. I still remember
kainga
that from
problem.
economics class in Tonga, called the
Yes,
Kainga problem.
yes, but that's what makes sense. But Tongans are a bit different. Families do matter, and there's gonna be times that you have to go. And I'm just thinking, like, even for myself and my family, when there's families that that you need to do a good cause and do it, you just go all in and just worry about the next paycheck when it comes to deal with whatever. And those times do definitely come. And it's kind of hard to explain. You just feel it like you just have to do more and you just do it. But yeah, it's very interesting. And it's just wearing like what you said, the hats. There's that Western hat of how we live right now, where we're at. And then there's that Polynesian hat that you wear regarding your family relationships that really, at the end of the day, that's what matters. Because if we think that families are the center of our purpose and why we are here on this earth, then you should be trying to do everything you can with your family relationships. So yeah, I don't know, that's just me, but that's my
Sweet.
conclusion. Thank you everybody for tuning in and sending your comments and the support of Atu. And that's me, Tua. What's your
Sweet.
conclusion,
Yeah.
closing
Wanna
thoughts?
wanna thank you for your time, Mr. Atearoa, for this live digital Kava session here. And really, the invitation to everyone is, this is why we have these Kava sessions and these discussions. We can learn a lot about our history by observing how and why our people behave the way they behave today, right? Like we usually say, Masi, have the curious mind, stay curious, say, hey, why do we do these things, right?
Mm,
Stay curious, be bold to ask the questions, and really, there's a lot to be learned, there's a lot to navigate. And though we don't do the navigations on the Karias and use the stars, the patterns of the skies to navigate like our ancestors, but those patterns are still applicable to our day,
yeah.
right? We're still building relationships just like our ancestors did. We're still going into new frontiers. We're in a foreign land, in a foreign civilization, trying to navigate it, and many times far away from home. And that, we have to learn how to survive in that environment, but not forget who we are, not forget who we came from, and not forget what makes us different, and not to sacrifice um, what makes us different just to survive and to navigate the world that we live in. Thank everyone for joining us. As always, stay curious, be
Mm.
bold, and don't be afraid to ask the hard questions. Till
Yes,
next
sir.
time, peace.